Is it luck or is it destiny? If you're one of those stuck in between this eternal debate, here are 8 very lucky people whose stories might just help you decide. Number 8. Tsutomu Yamaguchi and the Bright Flash. Although Japanese businessman Tsutomu Yamaguchi is widely considered one of the most unlucky people in the world, we believe the fact that he was around until 2010, the year he passed away, to tell his story makes him a very, very lucky man. Working as an employee for Mitsubishi in 1945, Yamaguchi traveled a lot through Japan. It was when he got off the train in Hiroshima that a large bright flash blinded him, the cause an atomic bomb. Eager to escape from the tragedy, Yamaguchi took the first train back to his hometown. When he arrived at his hometown, Nagasaki, Yamaguchi urgently went to tell his boss what he had just experienced, only to be blinded again by another bright flash, a second atomic bomb. During his lifetime, Yamaguchi devoted a lot of public appearances advocating the end of the development of nuclear weapons, stating that he can't understand why the world cannot see the agony that atomic bombs bring. How can they keep developing these weapons? Mr. Yamaguchi passed away at his home in Nagasaki, being the only person in the world to have officially survived 2 atomic bomb explosions. Number 7. Fidel Castro and his affair with death. The late ruler of Cuba was widely loved and hated by millions in his home country, and considering his infamous hate towards the United States and other capitalist countries, threats to his life were probably very common. Still, most of the times, threats are only that. Threats, but many of those became a reality for the General Castro. According to the Cuban intelligence agency, Cuba's leader survived an astonishing 630 assassination attempts, approximately. Most of these planned by the United States, local enemies, mafia members, and even his own mistress. One of the most famous assassination attempts towards the Cuban leader was an explosive cigar plotted by the CIA during the 1960s. They even tried to place a small needle with poison on a ballpoint pen and tubercle bacilli-infected scuba diving suit for him to wear. The United States government went so far in trying to kill Castro that they teamed up with famous American mobsters of the time to try to get rid of the Latin American leader. Around the same time, Castro's lover, Marita Lorenz, agreed to smuggle a jar of cold cream mixed with poison into his room. Castro found out about this and allegedly took a gun and gave it to her, ordering her to kill him. She could not bring herself to pull the trigger, making Fidel Castro one of the luckiest men on earth, surviving enough assassination attempts to have one daily for almost 2 years. Years later, President Gerald Ford signed an executive order in 1976 which stated that no employee of the United States government shall engage in or conspire in political assassination. After more than 600 attempts, it made sense to change the strategy. General Castro claimed during his time that if surviving attempts of assassination was an Olympic sport, he'd win the gold medal. Number 6. Andy Fields and his sketchbook. Casinos are not the only places where people can get extremely lucky. On 2012, English businessman Andy Fields took a trip to Las Vegas, Nevada. While killing some time at a local garage sale, he bought a batch of paintings and sketches for $5. There was one painting which Fields, an art collector, fancied the most. As he separated it from the rest of the paintings and prepared it to be framed, he noticed that it had been signed by the author with very messy handwriting. The name Andy Warhol took Fields by surprise. Unlikely it seemed, of course, and skepticism around the originality of the painting was common. After talking to several art experts, the painting appeared to be a portrait of 1930s singer Rudy Vallee, which was in fact drawn by Andy Warhol during his preteen years. An art valuer told the lucky finder that the painting could be worth just over $2 million. Fields claims that at a point the idea of the painting being an original Warhol crossed his mind due to the big red lips in the picture, but completely discarded the idea considering where he got it. Afterwards, the seller claimed that his aunt used to watch over Warhol as a child and was not surprised that one of the sketches he sold was, in fact, a piece by the man himself. Like this, several sketches and paintings of famous artists have been found in flea markets and garage sales all over the world. Still, this is one of the most profitable findings at a garage sale ever. Fields has claimed that he does not wish to sell the painting as an art collector. He's quite fond of it, especially because it is a symbol of how lucky he was at that time in Las Vegas. Number 5. Martin de Jong and his flight bargains. Planes are considered one of the safest means of transportation, with a 95% chance of surviving a crash. Losing a flight is also considered one of the most unpleasant and inconvenient experiences one can have while traveling. Considering the hassle involved in changing flights or buying an expensive new ticket, that's exactly how Martin de Jong felt with his flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing on March the 8th, 2014. However, what he believed was a mistake was an incredibly lucky accident, since the flight mysteriously disappeared without a trace, never to be found. 227 passengers, along with 12 Malaysian crew members, died on that accident, very close of being part of the 5% of fatal airplane accidents. De Jong dodged death, luckily yet unintentionally. De Jong thought his luck had reached a peak, considering that he barely missed one of the most infamous aerial disasters of modern times. Still, that did not stop De Jong from flying around, even with the same airline. On July 17th, on his way back to Malaysia from Amsterdam, De Jong saw a cheaper ticket online, which would arrive only a couple of hours later, so he went for the bargain. His originally scheduled flight, Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, was shot down while flying over eastern Ukraine, killing all 283 passengers and 15 crew members. For the second time in a row, Martin de Jong skipped his flight and his meeting with death. Number 4. Bill Morgan and his car crash. For Bill Morgan, death found a way to pay him back. While driving, Morgan's car collided with a truck, crushing him inside. Unfortunately for Morgan, he had an allergic reaction to one of his medications, making his heart stop. He was declared legally dead for 14 minutes. However, the doctors involved could revive him. He fell into a coma that lasted, luckily, only 12 days. After that, feeling good about life and his luck, Morgan decided to quit his job and marry his then girlfriend, who said yes. As if being alive wasn't enough luck for him, Morgan went on to buy a scratch ticket. Days later, he found out that the ticket had won him $24,000. The word spread up to the local news, who wanted to do a piece on him and his incredible streak of good luck. As part of the piece, the local news team asked Morgan to buy a second scratch ticket to reenact his $24,000 win, only to discover that his second ticket had won him another prize, this time worth $250,000. Number 3. Lena Paulsson and her carrots. A Swedish woman, Lena Paulsson, was preparing to start her Christmas baking. She realized that she had lost her wedding ring. She searched all around the house with her family, sadly concluding that it had disappeared. Years later, Lena's passion for cooking led her to pursue a hobby in gardening, which started out as extremely amateur. She claims that she did not know that carrot seeds were to be placed in rows, and that the first time she and her family did it, they just tossed the seeds around into the ground. 16 Christmases after the disappearance of her wedding ring, Lena was pulling out those carrots they had planted. Her daughter claims to have rushed outside when she heard her mother, who had let out an overwhelming scream when she discovered her long-lost wedding ring around one of the orange carrots. The whole family was shocked that one of the seeds that day they planted the carrots had landed right on top of the ring and eventually grew through it like a tiny version of ring toss at an amusement park. Lena Paulsson to this day cannot believe her luck. Number 2. Nichiren. Most people sentenced to death face their destiny without much hope of a second chance, especially when it involved a giant axe and a large, robust executioner. That was not the case for this famous Japanese monk. Nichiren was a well-known monk during the 12th century whose teachings have gathered a lot of followers up to this date. But it's not only his teachings what made him famous, but also the time when he survived a beheading. After generating resentment among his rivals, he was arrested with plans of being beheaded. According to his own account, he was ready to die and leaned forward to give the executioner a clear shot. As the executioner raised his axe preparing to kill Nichiren, what is thought to be a lightning bolt struck the axe directly. The executioner fell on his back, dead, and the rival soldiers and authorities ran away in shock and fear. That day, the Buddhist monk only gathered more power to spread his teachings. Most say it was not an act of luck, but of faith. Still, the odds of being saved by a lightning bolt are so slim that it's hard not to consider this wise man from Imperial Japan extremely lucky. Number 1. Nick Smith and the Grand Canyon. falling to your death is a common tragedy near tourist hotspots, especially those located in high altitudes like mountain viewpoints and certain skyscrapers. That was not the case for Nick Smith, a member of the Beyond the Seldom Seen outdoor group who fell from the astonishing height of 90 feet. Smith, while climbing between the narrow and high rocks of the Soap Creek Canyon inside the Grand Canyon National Park, failed to properly secure his rope block and as a result fell straight to what appeared to be his imminent death. But after a couple of awkward grunts in pain, Smith realized that he was okay. A couple of scratches and bruises, but other than that, I felt perfectly fine, Smith said to the local news. He published a video which can be found online of the whole event, recorded from his personal action camera strapped to his head. After the fall, the adventurer had to climb back to the top of the canyon, walk up to his car, and drive himself to the ER. He was worried that he might be badly injured, but the adrenaline rush might have been hiding his symptoms. According to the doctors, Smith suffered no severe damage to his body, no internal bleeding, and no broken bones. This accident happened on February the 5th, 2007, and to this date, the video has gathered a lot of media attention, considering that the average height from which a person may die is between 40 to 50 feet. It's unbelievable that lucky Nick Smith fell from almost twice that height and barely got scratched.
Realizing the situation, observers on the boat above opened the cage's escape hatch to provide an escape route for the creature. Chan, on the other hand, dived down and slipped out of the bottom of the cage to escape. However, he discovered two other sharks swimming close by beneath him. Not wanting to become prey to the pair, he quickly swam back up. Fortunately, the trapped shark had just escaped the cage.